In 3, 2, 1.
John, are we live?
We are live, sir.
John and I are already giggling because it's a first for WheelHouse history. I mean, this is episode 14 or 15?
14, I believe.
14?
Yep.
We made 14 before we got ditched, kind of. We had two guests booked today. They were in the same industry. We're going to talk a lot about UFC, jiu-jitsu. One of the gentlemen just couldn't make it, and the other one did have a family emergency. So I hope the family is doing well. But this is a first for WheelHouse because we don't have any guests, and it was kind of like a last minute.
Very last.
People didn't show up. So it's going to be John and I chatting with you guys a little bit. I'm going to give you guys some tips about kind of motivation, business ownership. I just wrote an article about it, so I'm a little passionate about it. But this might end up being fun, John. It might just be me and you kind of bullshitting.
I know, just hanging out. I already cracked a beer.
And then, oh shit, I should grab a beer. It's in our little cooler. But ask us questions. You know, I love, you know, kind of you guys asking me any sorts of questions. Ask John questions. We'll answer whatever. PG-13-ish. Don't go too rated R. I see Johnny's watching, so that could be rated R. Dylan's watching. Maggie's watching. So, so for those of you watching, it's going to be me and John today because obviously, as I said, our guests couldn't make it. We got a kick butt show next week. How's your weekend? Actually, before your weekend, how was Gaming for Green? So Gaming for Green was last Thursday, and I know you're very passionate about it. You were dealing some cards on Gaming for Green. How was that?
It was fun. I was dealing blackjack, had a full table, a lot of table wins. The shoes were good, but the whole event was fantastic. We had a packed house, 600 people plus through the door, massive poker tournament, all kinds of drinks and cigars and so on and so forth. Great food. Galleria Marchetti.
Yeah,
fantastic place. They do a great job over there. So I don't know if you've been, but I would suggest it if you get invited to any kind of an event, go check it out. Yeah,
it's a cool venue. I have been. It's a very, very cool venue, and I'm bummed I missed it. I was feeling pretty sick last week. I was going to come and try to steal all the chips and try to bribe you into giving me extra chips so I could win that thing. But, we did Windy City Smokeout on Saturday night, which was packed. It's crazy. The Windy City Smokeout 2 years ago was like a ghost town. There's nobody there. And then last year it got busy, and this year it sold out, and it was jam-packed. I feel like you and I were laughing that I put up the post with me and Sean. We said we're brown cowboys. I've been a country music fan for a little while, but I feel like country music and country flavor and country food has kind of become a big thing in Chicago.
Absolutely.
You see a lot of those bars popping up, kind of that southern feel. My buddy Florian, shout out to him. I'm going to see him in a little bit. He opened up that restaurant Drawl with some partners, and place is awesome. It's amazing.
We must go.
But I feel like that southern kind of country flavor has become a big thing. And obviously people love festivals, so there's a lot of food, a lot of drinks, and some good bands. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
Good deal.
Big thanks to Chicago Agent Magazine. They did their Who's Who. I'm very honored and feel very, very blessed. They picked me 2 years now.
I was actually, funny you mentioned that. I'm going to put something on the screen.
Uh-oh.
I was going to surprise you. That was going to be my shout-out of the day. I was going to keep it in-house and let everybody know. So I read the article. It's awesome. Of course, I've gotten to know you for the last several years. You work incredibly hard, and it's nice to see people get recognition. And I wasn't able to get the article blown up so people could read it off their computer screen, but alongside of the article, I put the whole link. So I'm going to leave it up there for a little bit.
Very cool.
If people want to, or either right now or after our massive show.
Yeah, our massive show with just me and you right now.
If they want to go back.
Oh, very cool. Thank you, buddy.
Absolutely. You deserve a shout out.
That's nice of you. I always say you have the coolest shout outs. You may have had the coolest one ever today. No, big thank you to Chicago Agent Magazine. They do an incredible job over there. They showcase realtors really well. Their events are amazing, and they're just awesome. Marcy over there, if you're watching, thank you so much for everything you and the staff does. It was a great event. It was at 1000M last night from 6 to 8. Really cool building. They had a unit you could tour, a unit you could take a look at. And it's a really cool building off of Michigan Avenue. So we had a lot of fun.
Are they still building? Is it
yeah.
still in
it's
build?
still they're still taking people, and you can still buy units there. But really cool building.
Good.
That was a lot of fun. Tomorrow, big shout out to the YPN. I'm the chairperson of the board. We have an amazing board this year, the Chicago Association of Realtors, YPN. We have our white party tomorrow, and this is actually a great platform. Now I can shout this out now that we don't have guests today. It's a white party, but you don't have to wear all white. So we were starting to get some people saying, well, I don't have a white outfit. I went to Suit Supply, and I got a white outfit. I got a white outfit, and I got a surprise when it comes to my shoes. But you do not have to wear all white. So for people who were saying I would come, but for the fact that I have no white outfits or all white outfits, wear something white, but come. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's at Fremont tomorrow, and everything we do at the YPN goes to charity. So when we raise money, we're raising money for different charities. There's going to be a couple different charities from the YPN fund that are going to benefit from everything we're raising money for. So we all donate our time. We put on some incredible events. The breakfasts are very informative. They teach people a lot of things about real estate, lending, but the fun events like the kickoff, the summer mixer, all of these things, we put them on to engage realtors, get them to work with one another. I feel like in the real estate industry especially, sometimes people get way too aggressive with one another. And just being able to be around one another, get to know one another well, creates a better working environment.
Sure.
So we have that as part of our mission, and obviously the other mission is charitable. So show up tomorrow at Fremont. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be in a full white outfit, and then we'll go out afterwards, obviously, and have a good time. So actually, if you got a white outfit, or if you don't, you should show up. We're gonna go out for a little bit afterwards too.
I'll take a look at my closet and see if I still have my old John Travolta Staying Alive situation.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I don't. I'm kidding.
So we got, like I said, you guys can make comments and we'll chat with you guys. Maggie said, Mo, we missed you. I missed you guys too. John's the best dealer. Apparently for people playing, he's the best dealer, not for the house.
Well, but you give it and take it away.
Lawrence, he said, LOL, I was joking. I do have a white outfit. So now I expect you there. But you weren't the only one, Lawrence. There was a lot of people who just were reaching out and saying, well, what do I do without a white outfit? And I was telling people show up, but you don't only want to be the only person without a white outfit, but a lot of people are going to show up without white outfits, so you will be okay.
I'm mostly interested in the shoes. I don't
want to give them away, but they're cool
right.
shoes. So I went to Suit Supply, and if you've ever been to Suit Supply, every guy there looks like a male model, and they are all really well dressed. So if you want to feel really bad about how you're dressed, go to Suit Supply. But they do a really nice job of picking out stuff for you. I love the way their stuff fits, so shout out to them. I used to get custom clothing. I won't name from where, but my stuff would tear. It just we had an ongoing joke that I would tear pants every 6 months.
Wow.
And Suit Supply stuff is much less expensive. I'm built like a T-Rex, so I got these short little arms, big neck, big chest, so I don't fit into off-the-rack stuff. Suit Supply stuff looks like it's custom. It's a third of the price of anything custom.
Really?
And you can get normal outerwear. So I went there and I said, guys, I got a white party. I need a white outfit. Can you guys hook me up? So they hooked me up with a cool white outfit. And I'm like, what do I do for my shoes? I can't wear brown shoes. I can't wear sandals. What do I do? And they brought out a pair of shoes, and I'm like, I'm not buying those because I'm only going to wear them once. I was like, I'm never going to buy those.
Right.
And then he put it near a bunch of suits. He's like, you can wear it with this. You can wear it with that. I'm like, you could pull that off. Yeah. I don't know if I can. But he talked me into it, so I got cool shoes for tomorrow.
Okay. You don't have to give more details, but I do expect to see lots of pictures.
Yeah, for sure. Photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The women, is it all... Is the same thing, head to toe, all white?
It can be. To be honest, I think women probably have more white outfits than guys do, full white. But I think our board is probably going to show up in all white, but I don't think everybody has to be in white. So show up. It's going to be a couple hours. It's going to be fun. And then I typically go out afterwards. So
what's the address?
It's at Fremont. It's off Illinois. It's in Streeterville, right off Illinois.
Very good.
I don't know the exact address. I can actually put the link for tickets in the comment section, so if anybody wants to buy tickets, they can. So,
You said charity, right?
So every bit of money that we raise goes to a charity. We put it in the YPN fund. We've done Boys and Girls Club last year. We did a charity that helped place people who were homeless into housing.
Nice.
We helped buy furniture. We did a build out for them. So it's called All Chicago. So every year we are picking different charities. We might go back to some old charities. We might spread it out. But throughout the year, we raise a lot of money for charity.
Great.
I think we're going to be doing a trip to the Boys and Girls Club and hanging out with the kids again a little bit later in the year. So, yeah, come. It helps us out a lot. And obviously, the more people that show up, the better it looks for our YPN. I'm the chair, so please come. The busier the event is, the better it obviously is for our board. And then, what do you got going on this weekend?
This weekend, it's funny. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know what we have. Gosh, you got me on that one.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
I've been working so much this week. It's like I can't believe it feels like it should still be Monday.
Yeah, I hope glad it's not.
I know.
One thing I wanted to touch on, we don't have a guest, and this is supposed to be a little bit more for entrepreneurs than anything, and we got a lot of I'm watching who's watching. It's a lot of realtors. I posted an article on my Facebook today, and thank you again to Chicago Agent Magazine. They featured it yesterday. It was an article I wrote that touched on motivation and then planning for success, because coaching and training realtors for the last 4 or 5 years, and being in real estate for the last 10 or so years, and in business for 10 years, what I've realized is I, like a lot of business owners, have ups and downs with my motivation. And when I watch agents lose motivation, some of them fall back on systems, and they have certain things they do that A, pull them out of the ruts, and B, when their motivation levels are low, those systems they've created and that consistency at least gets them through that. Because motivation, I tell everybody, isn't an endless supply. If you took Bill Gates, he probably has bouts of low motivation. I mean, I cannot imagine everybody is always motivated, even a guy like Elon Musk. Motivation's like if you play video games, I always equate it to the power bar in a video game.
Sure.
When it's really high, your character's moving around, it's really quick and it's effective. And when it goes low, it kind of slows itself down. So I tell people, when you have motivation, run with it. When you don't have motivation, fall back on systems and put together level of consistency. For realtors, the 20% that produces 80% of your results in the 80-20 rule is your lead generation. You have to have consistent methods of lead generation. You have to have systems. So definitely have systems, and then break your goals down. I coach this a lot in my office, and I do this with not just my law firm, with our tech startup, with Main Street, and then my own real estate business. If you have a goal and you set an annual goal and you write it down, you're only part of the way to being successful. You can write a goal down, and that's great. You can even write a goal down and hold it up in front of your face every morning before you get out of bed and say, this is my goal. And you might be a fraction more successful than the person that doesn't write their goals down. But if you don't break those goals down into what you have to do at least every week to do what I call winning the week, you just cannot be successful, because you're going to get to month 6 and be like, what do I have to do to catch back up? I'm a little bit behind. And it's difficult to manage your goals on an annual basis. Example, if I told you guys I got to lose 50 pounds, and I keep adding weight back on that I already lost, so soon enough I'm going to get there again. But if I said I have to lose 50 pounds this year, you guys would look at me and say, that's a shit ton of weight to lose. But if I told you I had to lose a pound a week, you guys who know me well would say, don't go to Chipotle this week, dummy, and you'll probably lose a pound this week. Pound a week for 52 weeks is 52 pounds. It's the same thing with any goal. If you have a goal to make X amount of money, you got to figure out how many leads and how many sales you need to make that amount of money, and then break it down into what you have to do every week to win the week. So if you win enough weeks, you end up winning the year. So if you got low motivation levels, know what you got to do that week to win the week, and just make sure you got systems in place to win the week. Whether it's real estate, a totally different business, do what you got to do to win the week. Break your goals down, and don't feel bad when you have low motivation levels. We all have it. I got it from time to time. There's days I wake up and I'm like, man, I'm not that motivated. I can't show that. I got to go to work and be a leader. But don't feel bad when your motivation levels go down. Find what it takes in you to get those motivation levels back up, and build systems for the times when your motivation levels are too low. We got some people who are commenting now. I just got my ticket. You convinced me. Thank you, Johnny Roto. He's coming to the white party.
Awesome.
I've been bothering him to come. Lawrence has got a question for us.
Sure.
I got a philosophical question for you, Mo. I'm having a constant debate with myself on things. It says Seymour. Whoa, it's a long one. I got to read it now.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Lawrence. It says, I'm having a constant debate with myself on things I should outsource versus things that I should do myself. One of the best management books I've read says, anything that takes 2 minutes or less should be done by yourself instantly, but you do 50 times a day. But you do that 50 times a day, that's 10 hours a week, a full day. Great question. So, two big points there, and I agree with him. He said if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it yourself. Mark Cuban actually has an article that he wrote a while back, or I've read some of his quotes and some of his tips. He says, if something takes less than 5 minutes to do it now. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate, and do it yourself. Because we as humans are natural procrastinators, and if we put off a bunch of little tasks, by the end of a day or the end of the week, we have a lot of little tasks that end up becoming, piled up to be a mountain. So the 2 minutes is kind of similar to what he's saying, but that's loaded because an email takes less than 2 minutes, and some, high-level professionals are like, we don't want to respond to emails. For me, I look at my hour as I got a certain worth to it. So I don't look at small tasks really. And I'm bad. I mean, Lawrence is going to say this in a second. I'm notoriously bad at doing this. I'm bad at outsourcing. I'm bad at getting other people to do my work for me. I could probably do a better job of it. But any business owner should know what their hour is worth. So let's say you make $200,000 a year. Your hour is worth about $100 an hour. If you are spending your time doing things that you could pay somebody less an hour to do, pay somebody to do that stuff. But it also depends on your strengths and weaknesses. So one bone I have to pick with some real estate articles is real estate articles when you're building a team a lot of times say hire an assistant first, a buyer's agent second when you're starting your team. I think that's BS. I think it depends on who you are and what your strengths and weaknesses are. So if I'm the type of person that's very organized, I'm very quick at responding to my emails, and I have systems, but I'm not good at taking buyers out, or that's a part of my business that's very time consuming that doesn't let me go lead generate, then forget the assistant first, go get the buyer's agent. But if I'm the type of person that's okay taking the buyers out, but I'm very bad at the being organized, getting my marketing out, making sure I'm responsive to emails, then you're the type of person that should hire an assistant first, not a buyer's agent. So it's a loaded question and a great question. I think it depends on two things. One, obviously, what are you good at? What are you bad at? Because you want to hire your weakness. You want to hire somebody to better your weaknesses, I always say. If you have certain weaknesses, hire somebody to cover those spots and focus on what your strengths are. So great question, but I'm open for advice from people on that. I mean, I'm notoriously bad at it. I see Jeff is watching right now, where Jeff and I are fantastic business partners. We have very opposite strengths in what we do. He's very organized. He runs the back end of the company like a well-oiled machine, whereas I'm very good at coaching and training, kind of being a front person going out and getting more business. So I've partnered up with somebody who has it fills my weaknesses really, really well, and I think I probably fill his weakness as well. So hire somebody that, outsource things that are your weaknesses to somebody who can do them better. But great question. And Lawrence, John and I were chatting a little bit about the topic Lawrence wants to chat about, kind of finding happiness, and it's something we definitely want Lawrence to come on and talk about, because Lawrence, you're a rock star at it. He's been, last 5-6 weeks, I've had tough 5-6 weeks. He's been kind of a good big brother to me, talking to me about the topic of happiness, and he just he's really good at it. So we got to have you on to talk about happiness in entrepreneurs. Tim said definitely need to be honest about your weaknesses to identify them. Yeah,
makes sense.
Super smart point. You got to be self-aware. So one of the things you can't teach people in business is to be a self-aware human being. You got to be really, really honest with yourself. I think when I was younger, I probably was not a self-aware guy. I probably didn't take a good look at myself and realize my strengths and weaknesses.
It's a maturity thing.
Yeah, it's a maturity thing. And over time, you don't have a choice. If you can't be honest with your good strengths and weaknesses and try to better your weaknesses,
sure,
well, you're either going to be mediocre or fail. So you got to be very self-aware of what you suck at. I know what I suck at. I mean, there's things I'm not good at in business, and there's things I'm not good at life, and I'm just going to make sure that I hire people who are really good at that stuff.
Sure.
Or I'm going to focus some attention on trying to become as good as I can in those areas.
Identify and make progress. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like
a little bit at a time.
If you're not self-aware as a person, you're going to fall in a lot of different ways. You just got to be honest with yourself. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got a lot of weaknesses. So good point on Tim there.
Absolutely.
I'm glad people are asking good questions.
Good deal. Do you think sometimes when it comes to goals that people set their goals too high, and that if they stumble a little bit, all of a sudden it seems even higher, and then it just becomes overwhelming. They just quit. I know some people who will set these great goals, but then from time to time they'll stumble or fall, and then it just seems so insurmountable because the goal is already so high. And it's like, okay, break it down like you were saying week to week, but even just the overall goal. Do you with the people you coach, do people put too much pressure on themselves?
So this is actually, I think it's originally Bill Gates' quote, and then Tony Robbins talks about it a lot. Everybody overestimates what they can achieve in a year and underestimates what they can achieve in a decade. An old business partner of mine used to say the same thing, and he used to coach it to us, and it's actually a great tip. And I feel like as humans, and I said this in my article too, Rome wasn't built overnight. Sometimes people set some lofty goals that they think they can achieve in a year, but they should probably be 3 or 5 year goals, really. What you got to understand is I fail at my goals still now, even when I do the win the week, because I set them a little bit too high, but I don't feel like I failed. It doesn't crush me because I'm like, you know what? I'm more successful than I was last year, or I'm better than I was yesterday. Evan Shai, who we had on, says, be 1% better every day. You don't have to be 100% better the next day. I feel like as humans, we want everything so fast. So I'm okay with setting high goals as long as they're realistic. I coach a lot of agents who come in there, and I will never set somebody's goals. So I tell them, you tell me your goals. We're going to work on breaking them down. Sometimes people come in with some crazy goals, and I let them have it. And then when I see them get upset because they're not getting there, I let them know, listen, you set a really high goal. You're doing great. Don't feel bad about missing that goal. Just try to do that next year when you've built a foundation. And that touches kind of on, we've had a couple guests talk about being able to deal with failure. I don't think failing is a bad thing. It doesn't, again, as a kid, when I failed, I was depressed. I mean, if I lost a basketball game when I used to play basketball, I used to be like, holy shit, my week sucks, we lost. Now I'm like, at least I was trying. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. So I'm okay with somebody setting a big goal, just being realistic about if you're not getting there, don't feel bad about yourself. And that's like what we touched on. A lot of times people will not see things work, and then their motivation drops dramatically. Right. And you got to put in perspective that people have been doing this for a long time. Hamish, who's a really a guy I look up to a lot. He's the guy I told you I want to have on. He's in New York. He started a tech company, had a fitness company. He's like 7 feet tall. Oh yeah, I'm going to tag him in this because I saw his post. Just a giant. He put up a post today. I think he's like 311 pounds, and he's built an incredible business for himself. And he came here. He lived in his car for a little while and has built incredible businesses and is on track to be. I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, he was on a TV show. VCs granted him a ton of money, and he's working his butt off.
Nice.
But he put up a post yesterday, I think, that said, people ask him all the time, how long have you been working out? And he goes, 20 years. And they always kind of get shocked thinking, oh, maybe it was 2 or 3 or 4 years. And he's like, no, this didn't happen overnight. It's 2 decades. And Hamish's post reminded me of something the number one agent in Chicago said, Jeff Lowe, at a YPN breakfast. Somebody had asked him something along the lines of, what separates you from, other agents, and how have you become so successful? And he says, I've been at this for 20 years consistently. And I feel like it's okay to set a goal to be him. Just don't think you're going to be him in a year. He's grinded for 2 decades. 20 years is a long time. I had a guy who reached out to me, and he said, Mo, I love what you're doing. I want to be where you're at in 2 years. That's my goal. I said, fantastic. It's taken me 10. If you do it in 2, kudos.
Great.
Good for you. Don't feel bad if you're not there. My first 4, if somebody looked at my first 4 years, I struggled my butt off. I was getting better every year, but I was pretty, I had bouts where I had no success and it sucked. But I kept grinding. And I feel like that's the difference between somebody who's eventually going to make it and somebody who's not, is they let the small failures or not reaching their goals really affect them so dramatically.
So when it comes to the realtors and setting goals, do they, it's a broad stroke question, but is it primarily financial, or is it number of listings, or?
Good question. A little bit of both. So a lot of times realtors say, I want to sell X million dollars because, $8 million in Chicago gets, at least the last couple of years, makes you a top producer. Okay. In the Chicago Association of Realtors, I think that makes you in the top 10%. Some people say, I want to make my first $100,000 or $100,000 in gross commission, so I want to do $4 million in sales, because 4 million times 2.5% is 100,000 roughly. And then some people, give me a number. What I then do with realtors is I find out how many transactions, because the average sales price across the state is $250,000. Chicago's $271,000. Okay. But I use $250,000 as a number, because if you use the lesser number and you hit your goals and your average is higher, it's like you're like a guy like Jeff Lowe's, like $1.2 million averages. But the average agent, I base it off $250,000. So if you want to do $4 million in sales, $250,000 average sales price, you got to do 16 transactions. So now I've broken your goal down into 16 transactions.
Right.
But how are you going to get to 16 transactions? Statistics say, and these are not my statistics, these are like NAR statistics, that 30% of warm leads close. And I won't define what a warm lead is, but I tell the realtors what a warm lead is. So you multiply 16 times 3, you get 48 warm leads a year. You need 48 warm leads a year to close $4 million in sales. And I break that down into, what do you got to do every week? Well, 48 divided by 52 is almost 1. You're going to take some vacation time.
Yeah.
You need 1 warm lead a week.
Right.
If you want to do $8 million, you need 2 warm leads a week. Then we talk about what you have to do to actually go get the leads. But now if I did not get a warm lead this week, I've lost the week. Next week, I got to get 2. You got to carry it on. I actually tell our agents, you got to get a calendar, and you got to know every week, did you hit your lead goal? If you did not hit your lead goal, next week that carries over. You got to do a little more work. I tell realtors, Wednesday is a very pivotal day for me. If on Wednesday I look and I have not hit my lead goals, well, shit, I got to do some stuff. I got to do open houses on the weekend. I got to reach out to FSBOs, whatever I got to do, because some of that time stuff takes scheduling. So you got to be, although you break your goals down into what you have to do every week, you have to be very conscious of it every day. Like every night, my night ritual for people who are not in my office, so my office people know that, is I send all my clients properties. I go back to 12 o'clock the day before, so midnight. I respond to any emails that I had missed that I need to respond to, so that everybody gets a response. I put 5 things in my phone that I got to do the next day. And I got to do a million things the next day typically, but if I don't do those 5 things, I don't go back to sleep. So, and that recycles every day. I got to erase through it. So, and those 5 things are things that are getting me closer to my goals typically. So, you just got to break them down. But good question. What I end up doing is, half the people say a dollar amount, half the people say a production amount. And then I have to break that down into, you have one goal, it's $8 million. Then you have another goal, how many transactions you got to do. Then you have another goal, how many leads do you need every single year? How many leads you need every single week? And then what do you do every day to get to those leads? And I feel like that's the missing piece for realtors, for those of you listening who are in a rut, is it's an 8-week course. So people take an 8-week class and like, oh my God, I'm licensed now. What the hell do I do now? And then they don't think of themselves as a business owner. They think of themselves as salespeople. You are not really in the business of sales, because a house is too expensive to just sell to somebody. If you put me on a sales floor, if you sent me to Suit Supply, I'm not tall enough to work there. Those guys are tall and handsome. But they're salesmen, and they're good. Like, I don't need another suit, but I go in there and they get me to buy a suit. I don't need crazy looking shoes, but they got me to buy them because they sold me on them.
Now I definitely want to see the pictures.
Yeah, but if I was the best salesman in the world and you don't want to buy a house, I'm not going to be able to sell you on that. Right. I'm lead generating, so I'm a business owner. Realtors miss that piece. And as a business owner, you need to lead generate all the time, and you need to have a plan. So I did a business plan for my realtors because I'm like, you guys are business owners. You're not just salespeople. And a good business that's successful, they have business plans. Mm-hmm. And that's why I've restructured the way I coach and train. I think realtors, if you're listening and you're in a rut, call me. Even if you're not at Main Street, call me. I said it in my article. You don't have to come to Main Street. I'll sit down with you for an hour. I'm passionate about it. I've done it with agents at other offices who just come to me and they're like, hey, can you just break my goals down? And I'll break them down for you, give you some tips, and then go on and do your thing. It's giver's gain, for me.
We should do a roundtable on that here.
Yeah,
maybe a few people that come to you that would be comfortable sitting in the studio and just sort of going back and forth and soaking in what you're telling them, but asking questions, and whether we record it or just do it live, probably record it.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody's good with everything and then release it. That might be an interesting
situation. I
I
would love to do it. I'm passionate about that piece of it. I feel like very few realtors get it, and then very few realtors are okay doing it long enough to be successful, and the ones that do just kill it. I mean, real estate is the only thing I know with an 8-week course that can actually go and make somebody a 7-figure income every year. There's nothing else out there, barring going and like inventing an app or a tech or a invention.
Right.
There's nothing else with an 8-week course that can make you a millionaire every single year, because there's so much real estate out there to sell. Sure. And realtors think it's easy. It's not easy. Everybody who comes in and says, oh, I heard real estate's pretty easy. I'm like, you're nuts. It's not easy. It's simple. And easy and simple are two totally separate things that people mix up.
I concur.
The path to success in real estate is really, 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 really simple. It's not rocket science. If I was sitting in a room full of like brain surgeons, I probably wouldn't succeed. They're probably all smarter than me. So you just got to learn the things that make you successful and then work really hard at them. That's what in the Who's Who thing, I said, there's people who beat me on talent every day. On hard work, I control that. I'm not going to let somebody outwork me. And that, I think, is a bigger success piece in business, is work ethic over just sheer intelligence. I mean, shit, if you got work ethic and you're super smart, then you win.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one or the other to be on my team, I'm picking work ethic all day long, especially in real estate, because I don't have to teach them something that's like mind-blowingly difficult to conceptualize.
You can't teach work ethic. It's ingrained in people, or it's not. People have facts in the book that they can read and absorb and get to know, but that drive, it's ingrained,
teach it.
Or it's not.
Yeah, so we got a clap from Diane Wells. Thank you.
That's my sister.
Round of applause.
Hello, Diane.
Thank you. Lawrence Dunning said, Stephen Covey said in his 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, good book, I've read that, the most successful people do, quote, important things that aren't urgent before urgent things that aren't important. One of the hardest things for us in real estate to do as clients, quote, noise, makes us focus it went away. Somebody liked it. As clients, quote, noise makes us focus too much on the important things that aren't necessarily urgent in the big picture. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's the 80-20 rule is an incredible thing for people to learn. 20% of what you do produces 80% of your results. 80% of what you do produces 20% of your results. And in real estate, Lawrence is talking about the urgency. People are constantly wanting you to be urgent with things, quick with things. But I see realtors all the time get busy in the summers, like really busy in spring and summers. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so busy, I'm kicking butt. And then they forget the 20% that produce the 80% of the results. They're working in their business, not on their business. And one of the biggest mistakes I see in decent agents that don't end up becoming like the killer rainmakers is they get really busy and they forget to lead generate. They forget the important stuff because they feel busy, and everything in real estate lags. Closings are 60 days out. They're 45 days out. So your efforts are very lagged. And that's another part of where real estate hurts people's motivation is you're working hard. And I hear realtors say, I've worked hard for 4 or 5 months and nothing's working. I'm like, it is. The people who need you don't need you yet. So your efforts are working. Because if you work long hours at a normal job, you either get somebody that comes and pats you on the back and says, hey, great work, buddy. You've done a great job. Or here's bonus. Or here's overtime pay.
Right.
You don't get that in a business. And a lot of times your efforts are lagged. So all of a sudden you're working hard on lead generating. Nothing's happening. Then everything happens. And you're like, holy shit, like I'm kicking butt. And then you forget that you got to do that continue. 20% that produces 80% of your results. And that's why you see realtors have these like ups and downs in business. If you look at like winter months where people are like, oh my God, real estate dies in winter. It goes down a little, but look at like a real estate ace. Shout out to like Matt Laracy, guy's a killer. But if you look at his marketing, he never stops. Right. He's kicking butt all year long. So maybe his business drops a hair in the winter, but he doesn't go to zero, because even when his office is busy all spring and summer, he's not forgetting to lead generate. And that's, if I could give real estate agents an advice, even if you're busy right now, and you feel like you're kicking butt, do not forget about the 20% that produces 80% of your results. Because look at that stuff, because it really makes a big, big difference.
It's amazing that.
Shout out to Catherine, by the way, because Catherine's watching. Hey, Catherine, if you're watching, we just gave a shout out to Matt. Just a couple seconds before. She works with Matt.
Yeah.
So shout out to you guys.
Small business owners across the board fall under that same umbrella. I deal with a lot of small business owners, put together marketing campaigns, and I always I have a 90-60-30 that I adhere to. And people will, I was in an office a couple weeks ago, let's say, and I'm looking at, okay, we're in July. We should already be well past Labor Day with our marketing, not the efforts necessarily, but putting together a plan of action. And whatever is taking place today should have been planned in April. I watched the gentleman take a black marker to a whiteboard and write out things that for the next 12 days. And they had places they had to be, people they had to bring on board. And he's like, okay, that's our marketing. And it drives me nuts. It's like, okay, you are day-to-day. You should be doing the day-to-day stuff. And I understand small businesses, there's constantly fires you have to put out and employees you have to deal with. And a lot of them are not making a lot of money, so they're not always coming in on time, whatever that situation is. But whether you're a realtor or a small business owner in a brick and mortar, get yourself 90 days out. I mean, you have to look forward. You have to do your day-to-day, and I know you have what you do every single night before you go to sleep. And that's something that people should be doing all the time. And make sure that you're out so that you can plan and then start the putting together of your plan. And then at 30 days out from whatever that situation is, you should be marketing. You shouldn't be talking about it still. You should be already locked in, loaded, and really advertising whatever it is you're going to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people who have great ideas and then they just don't create action. I mean, an idea is fantastic. If you don't have any action, it's A, useless, and B, a waste of your mind power.
Right.
A lot of times that takes a good team too. I have an incredible team at my office, from Rita to Laura to Paul to Jeff to me to everybody in the office. Just make sure we have our goals aligned too. You have a 90-day goal. You better make sure everybody's goals aligned. And yeah, a lot of times you wake up and I'm lucky, so I have no staffing issues. I'm very blessed. At both Main Street and then Dot Kala with Tim and Ali, they're just rock stars. They're out at closings right now, kicking butt, taking names. I'm very lucky there. But we've had times where we've had bad hires who just don't show up, who don't do things. But you as the kind of top of the food chain in an office, and I don't want to say it like it's arrogant, but like the person who the buck stops at you have to make sure that people are creating action. If things are not happening, you gotta change that office dynamic a little bit. But I agree, your marketing and your thoughts of what you want to do, we're planning things that are exactly 30, 60, 90 days out.
Right.
We can't plan something for next year yet. We have ideas of what we want to do, but we have to constantly evolve. I mean, real estate is a tough game because it's a little archaic in the way we sometimes lead generate, but the newest players in real estate are really, I want to say fashion forward, and they make you stay on your A game. Mm-hmm. People poo-poo Redfin even sometimes now, and I'm like, listen, you don't love their model, that's one thing, but they're making us evolve. They're going to keep everybody on their toes. Maybe you don't like the fact that you don't think they're full service or whatever, and I know real estate brokers are just shitting on them left and right. I don't love the way they handle their, the properties, but I get what they're doing, and I don't dislike them for the industry. I think they came in, they disrupted the industry, and they said it's archaic, and we're going to change this shit. And the consumers are starting to like it. So we as realtors have to show that we have a value to give that maybe they don't. And if we can't, we're dead. So I don't poo-poo them. If you cannot show your value, you're screwed. And the players are changing and they're becoming more evolved and technologically advanced. So, I feel bad for realtors that were doing the same thing 15, 20 years ago and they're doing it now. And it's tough to teach new tricks to them. I don't want to say old dogs new tricks because there's some young people who are been doing it for 15 years, but you got to evolve.
So for those who don't know, I know I've seen signs around, but I don't really know the structure of Redfin. What is it they do?
Yeah.
So people have an idea.
My Redfin buddies, because I got a couple of them that are Facebook friends, are probably going to correct me in the comment section. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah, correct me. So I don't want to be misspeak. But Redfin showing agents are on salary. So they're not commission-based like me or some of the other realtors watching. So they're on salary. They go from showing to showing to showing to showing, and they do showings and they have a salary. So their earning potential is definitely nowhere close to like a good realtor.
It's capped.
It's very capped. I mean, they can go up, but nothing for the amount of time, full time they work. A full service realtor who knows what they're doing will blow them earning wise out of the water. But you have the security of having a paycheck. So, like somebody who's got a family and, they want to go there and make that income and they're like, hey, listen, like, or doesn't have a family and I'm happy with this, it's fine. You do not build the intimacy or knowledge with your client that a full service realtor does. It just doesn't happen. I don't care what anybody from Redfin says. I know my clients because I go on every showing with them. I am at my, my agents are at my listings. We have a much more intimate relationship with our clients. So I don't want to go as far as calling them a discount broker, because there's discount brokers that don't give a shit and they just put something on the MLS for $500 and hope it sells. That's not them. I don't think that's them at all. But their agents are salaried. I don't think their level of training, I mean, there's some brokerages that don't train their agents, so maybe their level of training is higher. I'm going to be biased and say they are nowhere near our level of training at Main Street. So they don't have that level of training, especially on the business side of things. And they started off as a search engine. I mean, brilliant company. They were a search engine, realized, wow, we got so many people searching on our site. And then they carved out a brokerage from that. So originally they were a search engine. You just search for properties online on Redfin. And then all of a sudden they popped up as a brokerage, and now they're doing this 1% listing fee, which isn't really a 1% listing fee. There's a lot that goes into that. It's a different price points. But I give them all the credit in the world. They're publicly traded. They're brilliant. They're very smart. I don't think they're as good as a full-service realtor. There might be agents there that are really good. I know a couple agents there that are really good agents that went there to have a salary, because they were grinding their teeth in the non-salaried world of real estate, and they had families, and they are really good at what they do. And I think they're too good for those positions. And I feel for those two guys, and if they listen, they're friends of mine, so they're probably seeing this. I feel like they were just a little bit away from it breaking for them and kicking butt. But I totally understand what they're doing there, because you got a family, you got to take care of your family, and that's a salary, and I get it. So I don't hate them. I don't love them. I don't think they're as good as the full-service realtor. That's a good full-service realtor.
So just to follow up, again with that, you still have to be licensed.
Yes, you are still licensed.
So you have to know all the ins and outs of real estate.
Well, when you get licensed, you don't know jack
pretty
shit
much.
usually. Yeah. You got an 8-week course, they tell you. So Paul in our office laughs. She goes, if Mo took the licensing test today, he'd get a 20%. She's probably right. I'd probably fail miserably. It's a lot of the agency law I would do okay. Do's and don'ts. How big is an acre? I don't know, 45, 6-ish thousand feet. But all the numbers look the same, so I'd probably pick the wrong one.
So beyond that though, as far as having to be licensed, do they get paid like per showing? Is it more or less the more showings you do?
So they have a base salary, I think, and I don't know this exactly, but I think they got a base salary, and then you have a certain number of showings. But if you do a certain number of deals, I think you get paid a little bit more, but nothing like realtors do. John, our buddy John, has a great question. Clients always think they can get great deals from foreclosures like it's 2013, or I think he meant 2012, but it seems that banks aren't letting go of properties at massive discounts anymore. Any advice to explain this better to clients who are only interested in foreclosures because they think they will get a steal? It's a really good loaded question, and I'll answer pretty quickly because it looks like you and I did an hour almost.
Oh, I got a couple more questions.
Sweet. So the real estate market crashed in 2008-ish, and then 2008-9, and then in 2013, early in 2013, it went up. And you had that window there where it was like the recent Great Depression of real estate. I was a foreclosure defense attorney, still am. We just don't do as many of them. And in that era, banks were giving amazing deals on homes. But think about the bank's mindset there. So a foreclosure defense attorney can defend a foreclosure for anywhere from a year and a half to 6, 7, 8 years if the bank's making mistakes. The real estate market was tanking and nobody knew where the bottom was. So in 2010 or 11, whether it was giving a short sale or the bank owned it already and needed to offload it, banks are not in the business of holding properties. So they said, man, if we hold this property for another even 2-3 months now that we own it, or if we're in a foreclosure situation, it might take 2-3 years, where the hell is this thing going to be worth when it sells? Right. So let's get this damn thing off the books. Let's sell it. So they were giving discounts like crazy. So you could get a fantastic deal on a short sale or a foreclosure in that window because banks are intelligent. They don't know where the bottom is. They don't want to lose a ton of money. So they just got rid of properties. Now property values are on the up and up. They're on the rise. So banks, again, they're still not in the business of holding properties, but they're not idiots. They know if they hold it out a little bit longer, it's not a depreciating asset. It's currently an appreciating asset. Right. So the deals aren't as good. So what I explain to people who are looking for a deal, who want a foreclosure or a short sale or something where they can value add. A, not all short sales and foreclosures are in terrible shape. B, look at everything. Sometimes the best deal is not a foreclosure. You're looking for, instead of foreclosure or short sale, you should say something distressed. Somebody who might have a property that needs a lot of work and they just don't have enough money to do the work and it's getting to become cumbersome to them. And maybe it's even paid off cash. They're never going to go in foreclosure, but it's got a lot of work. That's a distressed situation for that individual and they might be willing to let it go. So anytime somebody comes to me now and says, Mo, I heard you did foreclosures. I'm sure you have access to great foreclosures. Help me find a foreclosure. I tell them, guys, the deals aren't like they were in 2008 through 12 because of this downturn isn't there anymore. It's an uptick and banks aren't stupid. Let me look at everything and we'll find you the best deal on the entire market, not just short sales and foreclosures. So great question, John. Happens to me at least once a month where someone's like, Mo, can you get me a great deal on a foreclosure? And I'm like, I can, but let me look at everything else as well. So sweet question.
Very good. I had a big, long conversation yesterday with a gentleman that owns a solar install company. When it comes to solar in Illinois, everybody knows the winters, the clouds, but I know the technology is constantly evolving and the amount of energy that the solar panels can take in when it is sunny and it doesn't need to be a bright sun, just UV rays. Does it add value if somebody's going to sell it? Let's say they're going to sell the house, or they're thinking, okay, we're going to do a solar system, panels. When that comes on the market, when the house goes on the market, do you foresee that being an upsell? In other words, is there a market for it where people are going to say, oh wow, okay, I know that as far as the home, it's a little bit more, it's a little more than I thought, but with that savings.
I don't think that a solar panel alone is going to get somebody to buy that house over another one in general yet. But there is a gigantic push for green tech. Mm-hmm. And people are starting to advertise in remarks, a green home. They have, green furnaces, green this, green that. And smart homes too. Smart home stuff comes into that as well. So I don't think it's going to make a gigantic difference in selling. I think if two homes are even, somebody will take that. Even if they don't really care for it, I think it makes people feel better that they're taking care of the environment. But the solar panel thing, you brought up something that I read. It touched on something I read. So Elon Musk is working on solar paneled roofs. So that's his kind of like next big play other than SpaceX, is to build these roofs that have solar panels on them. And what I heard they're working on is making it so the roof lasts as long as a normal roof and its replacement cost is equal to a current like shingled roof. If he can do that, he will blow everybody income-wise out of the water because everybody, when they want to replace a roof, then is like, well, shoot, why don't we just put this roof on? It's got the same warranty as a normal roof. Mm-hmm. It's saving energy. It's green, and it lasts as long, and it costs the same. So everybody's going to do it. So I feel like most people, unless they're assholes, would care to save the earth. So I think they would like it. But I don't think myself even I would overpay for that yet or pick it because it had that yet. Okay. I think if it was something that, because again, they don't power the house completely. If they power the house completely, where I would like advise my client, I would say, okay, listen, if your utility bills were going to be $200 and you dropped it by $100 a month every month, $100 on your mortgage payment is roughly $20,000. So I think this house is worth $20,000 more than the other house, because I tell everybody who buys, don't just look at the purchase price of the house. Look at how much the house costs you per month. So if condos in Chicago, if you have two condos, they're $300,000 each, but one of them has an assessment that's $500 and one has an assessment that's $1,000. That extra $500 a month is the equivalent of $100,000 on your mortgage. I'd rather pay my mortgage down. So you got to look at the overall payment of the home. So if you can bring the utility bills down so dramatically that it makes a meaningful change on your monthly payment, then yes, maybe. But it depends on if it can do that. I don't know how much these solar panels actually bring the price of homes down right now, or price of utilities down. But if they do, I think that's the metric I would use. Good question.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, got a lot of good questions. Got another one?
Yeah, no, man, I'm about out.
All right, cool. I mean, that was crazy because we started the show like about 2 minutes before the show started. We got the text message that the other guest wasn't going to be able to make it. And our first guest just kind of bailed on us. And we're like, well, what do we do? We're just going to run with this thing.
Sure.
And it turned out into being one of our cool back and forth shows. And I think we gave everybody a good, I mean, we're here to help entrepreneurs. We got a lot of realtors watching. I think we gave a lot of good advice to them. And I think we
never
did good.
When you're busy, always remember when you're not busy and keep working as though you're not busy and you'll get busier. 90-60-30.
It's Rome wasn't built overnight.
It was not.
Every successful business owner you look at, from a Bill Gates to a Elon Musk to lower level people that you look up to, you know, they have been grinding for a long time, a very, very long time. They have failed multiple times over. They have had moments where their motivation is crap. They have had moments where they're like, I want to quit. They've had moments where they felt broke. All these things have happened to everybody who's got any level of success. So don't feel bad when it's happening to you. The difference between them and the people who aren't successful now and quit is they just didn't take the failure and let it destroy them. They just kept moving forward.
I couldn't agree more. Real quick before we go, I do actually have one more question. HGTV.
Yeah.
All the shows where they take a shit house and make it into a palace.
Yeah.
With commercials in the middle in about 30 minutes. Do you think that ups the expectations of people that, we should be able to do this and deal with contractors, how come it's taking so long, and the price? I mean, the price is never really talked about on those shows.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, everybody watches HGTV and thinks they can flip homes.
Yeah.
You know, so my investor coaching and training session always tells our agents, find out what kind of real estate investor your person wants to be. 9 out of 10 times they want to flip because they watch HGTV. And I tell them flipping is not easy. It's just not. You know, you have to have the right crew and all that stuff. It's difficult, especially in this market when acquisition costs are high. Even renovating your home, I was way under budget. I went way over budget. I way underestimated what I was going to do, and I have a pretty decent knowledge. The thing with those shows are a lot of that stuff is discounted to them, because if you see at the end, it runs in the credits like thank you to whatever. So
of course.
A lot of it's gifted.
Sure.
And then you watch things like Flip or Flop with like Christina and Tarek. That's like a popular one. They've been doing it for a long time. If you actually look them up, they're actually, when they were married, now they're divorced. They were fairly successful at flipping properties for a very long time. So I think a lot of people watch these shows and they think, oh my God, all of a sudden I can do this. Right. And then HGTV, you have like House Hunters where you see all those memes where it's like, I'm a librarian and, my husband, stays at home and plays video games and our budget is $6 million. There's all these crazy things you see on HGTV. Jeff, my business partner, was on HGTV for House Hunters. And no knock on house hunters, but the house hunters thing is, it's the people who are buying the house have already found their house. They've already
got it. Yeah.
There's 2 decoy houses, and I never thought about that. But I always afterwards I'm like, yeah, they always get the house they wanted. That doesn't happen in real life. There's multiple offer situations. They don't take your offer, but they always get the house they wanted because 2 of the homes are decoy houses, and it's but it's all fun. I mean, that's what TV's for. But yeah, I get so many people who watch. They say, I want to flip properties. And I'm like, and I'm sure if Lawrence is still watching, he's like, yeah, it's not as easy as you think.
Right.
It's definitely not as easy as you think. But if you guys ever want to invest in property, shoot me a call. I'll chat with anybody and help them out. And even realtors, if you don't know how to deal with investor clients, one last tip to realtors before we go. The average home buyer, seller, buys and sells every 5 to 7 years. Chicago, 5, because we're in an area where people outgrow condos and move quickly. But across the nation, it's 7. The average investor buys every 18 months. So realtors all the time miss the piece of marketing to investors because they're afraid. They feel like they don't have the knowledge to talk to a real estate investor. They don't learn about cap rates, cash and cash returns, all that good jazz. And so because they're shy and afraid of it, they don't actually market to those people, but they buy 3 times more than the average home buyer seller does. So definitely, and I want to have Ryan Foley on. We've been trying to get Foley on for a little bit to talk about his flipping stuff as well. But
Yeah, how's that coming?
Good. I've got to reach out to him. Lawrence is watching, so Lawrence will have to wrangle Foley on here because he's done this really, really well. Maggie said, seriously, great show, guys. We did good.
Yeah, not too bad.
It's probably because you and I just can talk and talk and talk and talk and just never shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so next week, for all you dog lovers out there, we're having a lady named Donna Santucci. She is awesome. She's high energy. She's funny. She's a dog lover. And she's an entrepreneur. She owns a business called Fido to Go. And it is an artisan food truck for canines.
Very cool.
And she goes around Chicago. She goes to different festivals and stuff. But on Wednesday, she's over by Erie Street Cafe because there's a dog park right there and everything. And I would always see, and I stopped and talked to her. And I told her I was enamored with the idea, and she told me a little bit about how she came to the idea and so on and so forth. I can't wait for her to tell the story next week. Not next year, next week. And we also have a lady named, I might butcher the last name, Jessica Gartenstein. I'm going to go with that for now. Fronin Foods. It is a banana-based ice cream for people who are the whole dairy situation and calories and so on and so forth. And it's fantastic. We're going to have samples.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully she'll bring samples. I got no dairy problem, but I'll eat anything that's ice cream.
Right. What is that I'm trying to...
A gluten?
No,
not dairy.
Yeah,
she usually have a dairy allergy.
Yeah, whatever. There's a name to it.
Drink
there's a
milk
name for
and you get the poops.
everything.
Yeah, but it sucks for those people that can't enjoy ice cream.
I concur.
But
so we're going to have an alternative here. So come hungry.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, obviously, I'm a dog lover. Maverick's
I've seen that on Instagram.
My boy.
I'm going to see if we can wrangle in some treats for him.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And then I like ice cream, so that'll be fun.
Man, Nirvana next week.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, they both show up. Iris, the dog, wants some artisan food.
Oh, my buddy Tim.
Yeah.
I'll bring some out next time I'm out there, Tim.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, for listening. Hope this was helpful. I had fun doing this for an hour. Next Wednesday, 3 o'clock, same time, same place. Follow us on AE WheelHouse, please. We're going to be working on getting audio of this stuff so we can have kind of the podcast feel so you guys can download our audio. We're going to go on YouTube. We're evolving, so please like us, share us, comment, tell your friends about us, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 3.
Next Wednesday at 3.
Wednesday. Oh, he said lactose intolerant. That's what
lactose intolerant. That's what it is.
We goofed up. Lactose intolerant. Thanks,
Timmy.
Tim.
All right, and 3, 2, 1, out.